The shuttle doors opened with a soft hiss, and Marcus Cole stepped onto the crystal docks of Volanthos Prime. The air smelled strange here, like flowers mixed with metal. Purple light from the twin suns painted everything in soft colors. It was beautiful. Marcus hated it immediately. He was not here to admire the view. He was here to destroy everything back on Earth. Powerful people had chosen him for this mission. They called themselves the True Earth Coalition, and they believed humanity should stand alone in the galaxy. No alliances, no partnerships, certainly no friendship with aliens who looked like giant insects and lived for hundreds of years. The Volanthi were too powerful, they said, too advanced. If humanity joined with them, humans would become pets, servants, nothing more than interesting animals to study. Marcus had believed every word. He still did. Mostly. His orders were simple. Go to the Volanthi homeworld. Pretend to be a friendly diplomat. Then slowly, carefully, ruin everything. Small insults that looked like accidents. Delays that seemed reasonable. Misunderstandings that appeared innocent. Within 6 months, the alliance talks would collapse. Humanity would walk away. And Marcus would be a hero that no one could ever know about. He adjusted his formal jacket and walked toward the welcome party. A dozen Volanthi officials waited for him. They stood on 4 of their 6 limbs, the upper 2 folded in a gesture of greeting. Their bodies were covered in hard plates that shimmered like oil on water. Their heads held large compound eyes that saw everything. Marcus had studied their kind for months. He knew their customs, their language, their weaknesses. He smiled his most charming smile. It was the smile that had made him famous in diplomatic circles. The smile that made people trust him. The smile that was entirely false. Ambassador Cole, the lead official said through a translation device. The Volanthi Imperium welcomes you. The Empress herself wishes to receive you. Marcus bowed in the Volanthi style, low and slow. I am honored beyond words. The official's antennae twitched. Pleasure, Marcus knew. They liked when humans learned their ways. They found it cute. That thought made Marcus angry, but he kept smiling. High above the docks, in a tower made of living crystal, Empress Thesara watched the human arrive. Her compound eyes could see details that humans could never notice. She watched how he moved, how he held himself, how his smile never quite reached his eyes. She had ruled the Volanthi for 200 years. In that time, she had met thousands of diplomats from dozens of species. She knew what honesty looked like. She knew what lies looked like too. This human was lying. Every gesture, every word, every smile was a carefully practiced performance. He moved like a hunter, pretending to be harmless. His body said peace while his shoulders stayed tight with hidden purpose. Most rulers would have him arrested. Most would cancel the alliance talks immediately. Thesara didn't either. Instead, she felt something she had not felt in decades. Curiosity. Why would humans send a saboteur? What did they fear so much? And why had they chosen someone so charming to do their dirty work? She decided to keep him close. She would watch him, study him, and perhaps, if she was careful, she would learn something true about humanity by watching their best liar work. Marcus was given quarters in the diplomatic wing of the Imperial Palace. The rooms were designed for human comfort, with normal gravity and breathable air. Someone had even placed human books on the shelves and human food in the kitchen. It was thoughtful. It was kind. Marcus searched the rooms for listening devices. He found 7. He disabled none of them. Let them listen. He would say nothing important here. His first official function was a welcome dinner. Hundreds of Volanthi nobles filled a great hall. Marcus sat at the high table, near the Empress herself. She was larger than the others, her plates darker and more ornate. Jewels hung from her antennae. When she moved with absolute confidence. "Ambassador Cole," she said, and her voice was deep and musical, even through the translator. "Tell me about Earth. I have seen images, but images are not truth." Marcus launched into his practice speech about Earth's beauty, its diversity, its people. All true things but empty. Safe words that revealed nothing. The Sara listened. Her antennae remained still, which Marcus knew meant intense focus. When he finished, she tilted her head in a gesture he did not recognize. "You speak of your world like a poem," she said. "Beautiful words, perfectly arranged. But poems are not truth either. Perhaps someday you will tell me something real." Marcus felt a chill. For a moment, he wondered if she knew. But no, that was impossible. His cover was perfect. "I hope to share many truths, Your Majesty," he said smoothly. "I hope so too," the Sara replied. Her compound eyes reflected his face back at him, fractured into 1,000 tiny images. "I very much hope so." The dinner continued. Marcus charmed nobles, made contacts, planted the first seeds of his mission. He mentioned, casually, that human trade goods might be delayed due to shipping problems. A small lie that would create small frustrations. The beginning of the end. But throughout the evening, he felt the Empress watching him. Not with suspicion, exactly. With something else. Something he could not name. Later that night, Marcus stood on his balcony and looked out at the alien city. Towers of crystal and metal rose toward the purple sky. Flying vehicles moved between them like glowing insects. Somewhere, music played in harmonies no human composer had ever imagined. It was beautiful. He hated that he noticed his communicator buzzed. A message from Earth, encrypted and hidden in routine diplomatic traffic. Status report required. Timeline remains 6 months. Do not fail. Marcus typed his response. First contact successful. Alliance vulnerable. Proceeding as planned. He sent the message and deleted all traces of it. Then he looked back at the alien city and tried to remember why he was doing this. Humanity needed to stand alone. The Volanthi were a threat. The Alliance was a trap. He believed these things. He had to believe them. Otherwise, what was he? In her private chambers, the Sara read a report from her intelligence service. Ambassador Marcus Cole, 34 years old. Born in a city called Chicago. Exceptional record in diplomatic service. Connected to several political groups, including one called the True Earth Coalition. She set the report aside. She already knew he was here to hurt her people. The question was what to do about it. The easy answer was to send him away. Expose him. End the threat. But the Zara had not ruled for 2 centuries by taking easy answers. Humans were young in the galaxy, afraid. They had only discovered faster than light travel 80 years ago. They had met species that wanted to conquer them, species that wanted to ignore them, species that found them amusing or disgusting or strange. Of course, some of them wanted to hide. Of course, some of them wanted to push everyone else away. But the Sara had read human history. She had seen what they could become when they chose connection over fear. She had seen their art, their music, their capacity for change. Perhaps this liar could change too. Perhaps, if she was patient, she could show him something true. It was a risk. But the Sara had always believed that the greatest risks led to the greatest rewards. She made her decision. She would keep Marcus Cole close. She would let him play his little games. And she would wait for the moment when his mask finally cracked. It would happen. She was certain of it. The only question was what she would find underneath. Marcus stopped trying to destroy the Alliance. He told himself it was because the Sara was watching too closely. He told himself he was waiting for a better opportunity. But these were lies, and he had grown tired of lies. The truth was simpler. He no longer wanted to hurt her. This realization came to him slowly, then all at once. One morning, He woke up and understood that somewhere in the past months, everything had changed. He looked forward to their meetings. He thought about their conversations when they were apart. He noticed when she was tired or stressed and found himself wanting to help. He was not supposed to feel this way about anyone. Certainly not about an alien empress who ruled over billions of beings, who looked nothing like humans, but feelings did not follow orders. They never had. The Zara noticed the change. Of course she did. She noticed everything. "You have stopped," she said one evening. They were walking through the palace gardens, a maze of alien plants that glowed softly in the darkness. No more misfiled documents. No more wrong translations. No more whispered rumors. Marcus did not deny it. What would be the point? You catch everything anyway. That has always been true. It did not stop you before. He was quiet for a moment, watching a flower that pulsed with blue light. Back on Earth, people would pay fortunes to see something like this. Here, it was just a common garden plant. "I requested permission to see the Volanthi Historical Archives," he finally said. "I wanted to understand your people better. Not to find weaknesses. Just to understand. I know. I approved your request personally. I spent 3 days reading about the Expansion Wars." The Zara went still. The Expansion Wars were the darkest period in Volanthi history. For centuries, her people had been conquerors. They had spread across the galaxy, taking what they wanted, destroying what they did not want. Billions had died. Entire species had been wiped out. And what did you learn? She asked quietly. That you were monsters once. That you nearly destroyed yourselves with your own hunger. That your grandmother ended the wars and rebuilt everything from ashes. Marcus turned to face her. That this alliance is not about controlling humanity. It is about proving that the Volanthi have truly changed. The Zara's antennae lowered, a gesture of deep emotion. Few outsiders understand that. Most see our power and assume we want to use it. I assumed that. I was wrong. They walked in silence for a while. The glowing flowers lit their path. Strange insects sang in harmonies that sounded almost like music. "Why did you become a saboteur?" The Zara asked eventually. "You are intelligent, charming. You could have done anything. Why choose destruction?" Marcus considered the question carefully. No one had ever asked him that. Not even himself. "Because I was afraid," he admitted. "When humanity discovered we were not alone in the universe, everything changed. We had always thought we were special. The only intelligent life. The masters of creation. Then we met species that were older than our entire civilization. Stronger. Smarter. We were not special anymore. We were just one small voice in a very large room. And that frightened you. It terrified me. It terrified a lot of people. The coalition promised that we could be special again if we just pushed everyone else away. Stay alone. Stay safe. Stay human." He laughed bitterly. It seemed so logical at the time. And now? Marcus looked at her. In the soft light of the garden, she was beautiful in a way he had never expected to find beautiful. Strong and ancient and endlessly patient. "Now I think being alone is the same as being dead," he said. "Just slower." The Zara reached out with one of her upper limbs and touched his shoulder. It was a simple gesture, but Marcus felt its weight. Among her people, casual touch was rare. Meaningful touch was rarer still. "I have lived for 200 years, she said. "I have seen empires rise and fall. Species flourish and fade. Do you know what I have learned? Tell me. That the strongest civilizations are not the ones with the biggest weapons or the fastest ships. They are the ones that learn to grow together, to share, to change." Her compound eyes reflected his face. "Humanity is young. You make mistakes. You are afraid of things you do not understand. but you also create beautiful music. You love with fierce intensity. You change faster than any species I have ever seen. These things make you valuable beyond measure, even when we send spies to destroy peace. Especially then, because the spy who changes his mind proves that change is possible. She withdrew her touch, but the warmth of it remained. You are proof, Marcus. You are proof that humans can choose differently. That night, Marcus sat alone in his quarters and made a decision. He opened the secure channel to Earth and composed a message that it was not a report. It was a resignation. He explained everything. His mission, his failure, his change of heart. He did not ask for forgiveness or understanding. He simply stated the truth and said goodbye. The response came within hours. It was short and cold. Resignation not accepted. Return immediately for debriefing. Failure to comply will result in severe consequences. Marcus deleted the message without answering. The next morning, he told Desara what he had done. He expected her to be relieved. Instead, she looked worried. "The coalition will not simply let you go," she said. "You know too much. You have seen too much. They will send someone to replace you. I know. And they may send someone to silence you as well. I know that too." Desara stood and walked to the great window that overlooked her city. For a long moment, she was silent. "When I was young," she said finally, "I asked my grandmother why she had ended the wars. Our people were winning. We were conquering everything. Why stop?" What did she say? She said that victory without meaning is just another kind of defeat. We could have owned the galaxy, but we would have owned nothing but ashes and fear. Desara turned back to face him. "You have chosen meaning over victory, Marcus. You have chosen truth over lies. That takes more courage than any sabotage ever could." Marcus felt something crack inside him, something that had been hard and cold for years. He was surprised to find that it felt like relief. "What happens now?" he asked. "Now we prepare. The coalition will send someone new, someone more careful, someone more dangerous." Desara moved closer to him. "Will you help me protect what we are building? Not as a spy, not as a diplomat, as a friend." Friend. Such a small word, such a large meaning. "Yes," Marcus said. "I will." And for the first time since he had arrived on Volanthos Prime, he felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be. 3 months passed on Volanthos Prime, and Marcus Cole was going insane. Everything was going wrong. Or rather, everything was going right, which meant everything was going wrong. He had tried 17 different acts of sabotage. 17 careful plans to create problems between humans and Volanthi. And every single one had failed. Not failed loudly, with accusations and anger. Failed quietly, as if they had never happened at all. He had misfiled important trade documents. They appeared in the correct location the next day. He had given slightly wrong translations during negotiations. Someone always gently corrected them before any damage was done. He had spread rumors about human unreliability. The rumors disappeared like smoke and wind done. It was impossible. Someone was protecting him from his own sabotage. But who and why? The worst part was the Empress. Desara had begun summoning him for private meetings. At first, once a week, then twice. Now almost every day. The official reason was to discuss alliance details, trade routes, cultural exchanges, military cooperation. Boring things that required endless conversation. But the conversations never stayed boring. Desara asked questions. Strange questions. Real questions. She wanted to know about human music. Did all humans enjoy the same songs, or did different groups prefer different sounds? She wanted to know about human warfare. Why did humans fight each other so often when they had so much space on their planet? She wanted to know about human love. Did humans truly mate for life, or was that just a story? Marcus found himself answering honestly. He did not mean to. The words simply came out. There was something about her directness that made lies feel wrong. She listened to everything he said with complete attention. Her antennae would tilt when she was amused. Her voice would soften when she was touched by something sad. He began to notice small things about her. The way she protected him from her more aggressive advisors. Admiral Vrex wanted humans kept at a distance. Minister Thela thought the alliance was moving too fast. The Zara quietly blocked them both, again and again. She remembered everything he mentioned. Once, in passing, he had said he missed coffee. Earth coffee, real coffee, not the synthetic stuff on spaceships. The next meeting, there was a pot of genuine Earth coffee waiting. She had arranged to have it shipped across dozens of light years. For him, for a comment he had barely remembered making. Marcus did not know what to do with that. One evening, after a particularly long session discussing agricultural quotas, they sat in comfortable silence. The twin suns were setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. Marcus sipped his coffee. The Zara held a cup of the warm nectar her people preferred. "Tell me something," she said. "When you were young, what did you dream of becoming?" Marcus almost gave his usual false answer. "A diplomat, of course. Always wanted to serve Earth. Boring and safe and empty." Instead, he heard himself say, "A musician." The Zara's antennae rose with interest. "Truly, what instrument?" "Piano. My mother taught me. I was good. Really good." He paused, surprised at his own honesty. "But there was no money in it. My father said I needed a real career. So I became this instead." "Do you still play?" "Not for years. I do not even remember the last time I touched a piano." The Zara was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "There is a human piano in the Cultural Archive. Brought here decades ago by an earlier ambassador. I could have it sent to your quarters." Marcus looked at her. In the sunset light, her dark plates gleamed like polished stone. Her compound eyes reflected his face, fractured but somehow whole. "Why would you do that?" he asked. "Because you look sad when you speak of music. And I find that I do not like seeing you sad." Marcus had no response to that. None at all. The piano arrived the next day. He told himself he would not play it. It was a distraction from his mission. But that night, alone in his quarters, he sat down at the keys. His fingers remembered. The music came back like water released from a dam. He played for hours, songs from his childhood, songs he had written himself, songs he had thought he had forgotten. When he finally stopped, his face was wet with tears. He was supposed to destroy this alliance. He was supposed to be the enemy. Instead, an alien Empress had given him back something he had lost decades ago, got what was happening to him. The next private meeting was different. Marcus could not pretend anymore. Not completely. "Why are you kind to me?" he demanded. "I am just a human diplomat. One of dozens you will meet in your lifetime. Why do you care if I am happy?" The Zara studied him for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was gentle. "You are a terrible spy, Marcus Cole, but you are an excellent conversationalist. I wonder which one you were meant to be." Marcus froze. The words hit him like a physical blow. She knew. She had always known. He waited for guards. For arrest. For the end of everything. His mission was over. His career was over. Possibly his life was over. The Zara poured him another cup of coffee. "I find myself curious," she continued, as if she had not just revealed that she knew his deepest secret. "Do humans truly fight wars over fermented grain beverages? I read this in a history text, but it seemed too strange to believe." Marcus stared at her. You know what I am. Why are you not angry? I have been alive for many of your centuries. Anger is exhausting. She tilted her head. Besides, you have not actually damaged anything. Every small sabotage, every little trick, I have had my people quietly fix. You have done nothing worth punishing. Then why let me stay? Why not send me back to Earth in disgrace? The Zara set down her cup. For the first time, she looked uncertain. Vulnerable, even. Because I wanted to understand, she said softly. Your people send a saboteur to destroy peace before it can begin. They fear us so much that they risk war rather than friendship. I wanted to know why. I wanted to know if you truly believed we were monsters, or if you were simply following orders you did not question. Marcus was silent for a long moment. Outside, the first moon was rising over the crystal towers. I believed it, he finally said. I believed humanity needed to stand alone, that you were too powerful to trust, that the alliance would make us weak. And now? Marcus thought about the piano, about the coffee, about hours of conversation that had somehow become the best part of his days, about an alien Empress who had every reason to hate him and instead had shown him nothing but patience. Now I do not know what I believe, he admitted. The Zara's antennae lifted slightly, the Volanthe equivalent of a smile. That is a beginning, she said. Perhaps the most important beginning of all. They talked until dawn. Not about trade or politics or alliances. About real things. About fear and hope and what it meant to change. Marcus told her things he had never told anyone. The Zara shared memories of her own mistakes, her own doubts. When he finally returned to his quarters, Marcus did not send a report to Earth. He sat at the piano instead and played until his fingers ached. He was supposed to be a weapon, a tool of destruction. But weapons did not feel confused. Tools did not question their purpose. And neither of them lay awake at night, wondering if everything they believed might be wrong. Marcus Cole was changing. He did not know yet what he was changing into, but for the first time in his life, he was not afraid to find out. Ambassador Sarah. Chun arrived on Volanthos Prime, with a bright smile and a small container of death hidden in her luggage. Marcus watched her shuttle land from the same observation deck where the Zara had first watched him. 6 months ago, he had been the one stepping off a ship with destruction in his heart. Now he was on the other side, watching his replacement begin the same terrible mission. Chun was good. He had to admit that. She was everything he had been, the better, smoother, more careful. Her cover was perfect, her manner flawless. Within days, she had charmed half the imperial court. Within weeks, she had positioned herself as a voice of reason and cooperation. And slowly, quietly, the alliance began to crack. Trade negotiations stalled over small details. Cultural exchanges were delayed by minor misunderstandings. Military cooperation talks collapsed after an unfortunate comment that no one could quite trace back to anyone. It was subtle, professional, exactly what Marcus had been sent to do and failed to accomplish. But he knew the signs. He recognized the patterns. And he understood that Chun was succeeding where he had failed. Worse, he suspected her mission went beyond sabotage. The True Earth Coalition had invested too much in destroying this alliance. They would not risk another failure like Marcus. They would want insurance. A final solution if diplomatic games did not work fast enough. He needed proof. So he did something incredibly stupid. He broke into Chun's quarters. The security systems were excellent. But Marcus had learned a few things during his months on Volanthos Prime. The Volanthe had shared some of their technology with him, not knowing that he would use it for breaking and entering. He felt guilty about that, but not guilty enough to stop. Chun's quarters were clean. Too clean. Every surface was spotless, every item perfectly arranged. Marcus searched carefully, leaving no trace. He found nothing in the obvious places. Nothing under furniture or inside decorations or behind panels. Then he checked her diplomatic pouch. The one item that by interstellar law could never be searched or opened. Inside, wrapped in layers of protective material, he found a small vial of clear liquid. He did not need to test it to know what it was. Synthetrix 7, a neurotoxin specifically designed to kill Volanti. One drop in food or water, and the victim would be dead within hours. It would look like natural causes. No one would ever know. Marcus stood in the darkness of Chun's quarters, holding death in his hands. He could destroy it. But Chun would simply get more. He could expose her. But his word against hers meant nothing. He was a known traitor to Earth. She was a respected ambassador with a spotless record. There was only one person who could help. And going to her meant admitting everything. Every secret. Every sin. Every crime he had committed against her people. Marcus put the vial back exactly where he had found it. Then he went to find the Sara. She was in her private garden, the one where they had walked months ago. The glowing flowers still pulsed with soft light. The strange insects still sang their alien songs. But everything felt different now, sharper, more fragile. "I need to tell you something," Marcus said. "And you are going to hate me for it." The Zara turned to face him. Her antennae were still focused entirely on him. "Then tell me." So he did. Everything. He told her about his original mission. Not just the vague outline she already knew, but every detail. The codes he had used to communicate with Earth. The specific plans he had made. The information he had gathered about Volanti defenses and weaknesses. He told her about his handlers. Their names. Their positions. Their connections to the highest levels of human government. He told her about Chun. The poison. The probable plan to assassinate the Sara herself if the Alliance could not be destroyed through other means. When he finished, he waited. He expected anger, betrayal, guards appearing to drag him away. He deserved all of those things. Instead, the Zara was quiet for a long time. "You came to destroy us," she finally said. "And now you are warning us instead." "Why?" "Because I was wrong. About everything. About humanity's place in the galaxy. About what your people want. About what kind of person I want to be." Marcus met her eyes. "And because the thought of losing you is worse than any punishment you could give me." The Zara moved closer. Close enough that he could feel the warmth radiating from her body. The Lanti were warmer than humans, their metabolism faster and fiercer. "Do you understand what you have done?" she asked softly. "You have betrayed your entire species. Your government will hunt you. Your people will call you traitor. You will never be able to go home. I know. And you did it anyway. For us. For me. Yes." Slowly, deliberately, the Sara reached out with her primary hands. Among her people, this was the gesture of absolute trust. A primary hand touch was reserved for family, for beloved friends, for mates. It was never given lightly. It was never given to outsiders. She touched his face. "You could have let the Alliance die," she said. "You could have stayed silent and watched everything burn. No one would have blamed you. No one would have known. I would have known." "Yes." Her voice was barely a whisper. "You would have." She did not kiss him. Her people did not kiss. But she pressed her forehead to his, and something passed between them. Something that needed no words. Something that transcended species and culture and the vast differences between their kinds. "What do we do now?" Marcus asked. The Sara pulled back, and when she spoke, her voice was strong again. The voice of an empress. "Now we prepare. Chun believes she is hidden. Let her believe it. We will watch her. We will gather evidence that cannot be denied. And when the moment is right, We will expose the truth to both our peoples. And if she tries to use the poison before then we will stop her. Together. Marcus nodded. For the first time in his life, he felt like he was truly part of something. Not a tool. Not a weapon. A partner. There is something else, Desara said. Something you should know. What? The alliance talks are not the only thing the coalition fears. They fear what you represent. A human who chose connection over isolation. A human who changed. Her antennae lifted. If you can change, others can too. That is more dangerous to them than any treaty. Marcus understood. He was not just a traitor anymore. He was a symbol. A proof that the coalition's entire philosophy was built on lies. No wonder they wanted him dead. Let them come, he said. Let them try. I am done running from the truth. The Tsar's eyes reflected his face, fractured but whole, just as he felt. Broken into pieces by everything he had done, but somehow put back together into something new. Then we face them together, she said. Whatever comes. Whatever comes. It was not a promise of safety. It was not a guarantee of victory, but it was enough. More than enough. It was everything. The ceremonial feast was the largest event of the year. Representatives from both species filled the great hall. Politicians and diplomats, scientists and artists, soldiers and merchants. Everyone who mattered was present. The final alliance treaty would be signed that night. It was the perfect moment for an assassination. Ambassador Chen moved through the crowd with practiced ease. She laughed at jokes. She complimented gowns. She discussed trade policies with boring precision. No one suspected anything. She was just another diplomat doing diplomatic things. Marcus watched her from across the hall. Beside him stood Admiral Vrex, the same Volanthi who had once wanted humans kept at a distance. Now they worked together, tracking Chun's every movement. She approaches the serving area, Vrex said quietly. His translator made his voice sound almost human. As predicted, how much time do we have? The Empress's food will be served in 12 minutes. If Chun is going to act, it will be soon. Marcus nodded. They had spent weeks preparing for this moment. The Zara had gathered evidence of coalition activities across human space. They had found communications, financial records, testimony from agents who had changed their minds just as Marcus had. Everything was ready, but they needed to catch Chun in the act. Without that, the coalition could claim innocence. They could call it a rogue operation. They could survive. Chen excused herself from a conversation and drifted toward the kitchens. Her movement was casual, natural, invisible to anyone who was not watching for it. Marcus followed. The kitchens were chaos. Hundreds of workers prepared hundreds of dishes. Steam and smoke filled the air. No one noticed another diplomat wandering through. No one noticed Chen pull a small vial from her sleeve as she passed the station where the Empress's meal was being assembled. Stop, Marcus said. Chen froze. Just for a second. Then she turned with a bright smile. Marcus, what a surprise. I thought you were done with diplomatic functions. I am. This is not diplomatic. He stepped closer. Behind him, Volanthi guards sealed the kitchen exits. Put the vial down, Sarah. Chen's smile did not change, but her eyes went cold. The eyes of someone who had accepted what they were long ago. You do not understand, she said. This alliance will destroy humanity. We will be absorbed, forgotten, a footnote in Volanthi history. You are wrong. I thought the same thing once. I was wrong too. You were weak. You let them change you. Chun raised the vial. I am not weak. She threw the vial toward the Empress's food. Time seemed to slow. Marcus lunged forward, his hand closing around the glass container just before it could shatter. For a moment, nothing moved. Then Volante guards swarmed forward, surrounding Chun in a ring of armored bodies. More guards appeared at every entrance, and through them walked Empress Thisara herself. "Ambassador Chun," she said. Her voice carried through the sudden silence. "You are charged with attempted assassination. Evidence of your conspiracy has been transmitted to every human government. There is nowhere to hide." Chun stared at Marcus with hatred burning in her eyes. "Traitor." "Yes," Marcus agreed. "But I am the right kind of traitor now." The arrest was broadcast live across both civilizations. Every human colony, every Volante world, watched as the evidence was revealed. Communications between Chun and coalition leadership. Bank transfers to assassins. Plans that went far beyond one poisoned meal. The coalition had tried to murder an alien empress. They had tried to start an interstellar war. And they had failed. The backlash was immediate and overwhelming. On Earth, governments collapsed within days. The coalition's leaders were arrested or fled. New elections were called. A reformist government took power, one that had always supported the alliance. They sent a ship to Volanthos Prime, not a diplomatic shuttle, but a military vessel, to use reconciliation. Its mission was not to threaten, but to demonstrate commitment, to prove that humanity was ready to be a true partner. The treaty signing took place 1 week later. Marcus stood beside the Tsar's throne, having no official title but considerable influence. The new human ambassador, a woman named Director Hayes, approached with the treaty documents. "Before we sign," Hayes said, "I want to acknowledge something. Our species made terrible choices. We let fear guide us. We almost destroyed something beautiful." She looked at Marcus. "Some of us saw the truth sooner than others. We thank them for their courage." The treaty was signed with great ceremony. Thousands watched in person. Billions watched through screens and broadcasts. The Human Volante Compact became official. Two species, bound together in partnership and mutual protection. When the ceremonies ended, the crowds departed. The great hall emptied until only Marcus and the Tsar remained. "Your people will never fully trust you now," she observed. "The coalition may be gone, but their ideas will survive. To some, you will always be the traitor who chose aliens over humanity. I know. Some will hate me. Maybe most will." Marcus smiled slightly. "But some will understand. The ones worth reaching." The Zara descended from her throne. Without her guards, without her advisors, she seemed smaller somehow. Not less powerful, but more real, more present. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now?" Marcus looked around the empty hall. These crystal walls had terrified him once. Now they felt like home. Now we discover what an empress and her impossible human can accomplish together. I suspect the galaxy is not prepared. The Zara's antennae rose in amusement. The galaxy has survived many things. It will survive us. Will it, though? We make a fairly dangerous team. The most dangerous kind. One built on honesty. They walked together through the palace, through gardens that glowed with soft light, past fountains that sang with water. They did not touch. They did not need to. Something stronger connected them now. Something that had been built slowly, carefully, through months of conversation and confession, and changed in the years that followed. The Human Volante Compact grew into something unprecedented. More species joined. Trade routes expanded. Cultural exchanges flourished. The Compact became the foundation of the largest peaceful coalition in galactic history. At its heart were two beings who had started as enemies. A saboteur who had been sent to destroy. An empress who had chosen to understand. Together, they proved that the distance between species was nothing compared to the distance between fear and hope. Marcus Cole never returned to Earth. He never played piano professionally. He never became the musician he had dreamed of being as a child. But sometimes, late at night, he played for the Sara in her private chambers. Human music echoing through alien halls. A small gift that somehow contained everything. She would sit and listen, her compound eyes reflecting the stars outside her window. And she would remember the day a lyre had arrived on her world, and how that lyre had become the truest thing she had ever known. The galaxy was vast and dangerous, and full of species that still chose fear over connection. But every year, a few more chose differently. A few more decided that alone was not the same as safe. A few more reached out across the darkness and found hands reaching back. It was not a perfect ending. There were no perfect endings, not really. But it was a beginning. And beginnings, the Sara had learned, were often the most beautiful things of all. The impossible human and his alien empress. The saboteur and the ruler. The liar who learned truth and the ancient one who taught him. Together, they had built something that would outlast them both, and that was more than enough. That was everything.